So,
hey everybody, welcome and thank you for joining us on Maine Wedding Buzz. Today we have a band leader and his name is Rob Schreiber and he is with Standard Issue, and we're going to be talking about your music at your wedding and not just cocktail hour but continuing it on and having a whole jazz feel to your event. And so let's get started. Thanks Rob for joining us.
oh, thank you so much for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been playing music since I was a kid. Started off on piano and fell in love with drums and jazz music at an early age. I was lucky my mom played Duke Ellington records.
Oh wow.
In the house. And it's interesting, Duke Ellington actually played his very last concert in my hometown of DeKalb, Illinois.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not originally from Maine?
No, I was born and raised in DeKalb, Illinois. And then I lived in Baltimore, D.C. for about 12 years, and I've been in Maine the last 18.
Nice, nice.
I do have a sister that was born in Bangor, but I know I'm still from away.
You're from away, right? Is that what they like to call it? How did you get started in the industry, aside from the beginning stages? How did you find this niche for yourself?
Well, it evolves over time. I was for a small part in my 20s, I was a full-time jazz musician, and society work is what they called it down in the D.C. Baltimore area, would be a way that you could, pay your bills. But unfortunately, my experience at that point, I mean, the musicianship and everything else was just not great.
Yeah.
And so my idea with this group was I was hearing jazz music in Starbucks and other, higher-end retail establishments, and I started to think, maybe jazz is turning into gourmet. And if I have a small trio for cocktail hour, dinner hour, even ceremony music, maybe this can work. Maybe this just doesn't have to be a passion on the side. And so about 5 years ago, I started playing out more, and 2011 was when Standard Issue came into being.
Wow.
So.
There's some great jazz locations in Philadelphia. I just was thinking about one of them, and it's actually at the Bellevue Stratford, which isn't the Bellevue Stratford anymore, but it will forever be the Bellevue Stratford to me. It's a little underground jazz club, but it's Zanzibar Blues.
Oh yeah,
that's what it's called, and it's phenomenal. I don't know if it's I've been in Maine now 8 years, but I don't know if it's still there. But it's a great jazz place, and the music was awesome. It was off the charts. Yeah.
Oh, great music scene in Philly. One of my favorite drummers, Mickey Roker, is Philadelphia. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it was.
Cool.
And Baltimore, Philly,
yeah,
there was
the same
lots of crossover.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very close to get to both places.
Yeah.
No, I know you said about getting started when you were a child, which is funny because I went to Salem Music School when I was a child. Yeah. And I actually took piano, except I couldn't pick it up to save my life. So the teacher wrote a big R and a big L on my hand, so right and left. So I thought that was pretty. So then I went to drums, and I still couldn't pick it up. So music, I'm not musically inclined. Yeah. Did you know early on as a child that you were musically inclined? Was that something that you went, wow, you didn't have a teacher going, no, you can't play. Did you just?
Yes, there were two epiphanies. One, it was funny, my parents got me one of those little toy drum sets with paper drum heads. And friends, we were like singing to, of all things, the soundtrack to Jesus Christ Superstar. But anyway, there's one section in the soundtrack where there's all this percussion stuff going on. And I was actually playing with the music.
Oh, wow.
And I could tell I was getting into a groove, and I heard noise from the other people, the other kids I was playing with. Yeah. I was like, wow.
And you just were able to pick it up. So you just picked it up by just hearing it. Wow, that's excellent. That's really cool. So then when did you transition into doing weddings? From doing clubs, then weddings?
Well, I had a gap in my career. I had developed really bad sciatica, so just as my career was taking off in my late 20s, I couldn't do it anymore. And so 8 years ago, a physical therapist was actually able to fix me so I can play music again.
Oh, wow.
So that was at the point where I got involved with the group, and we were doing some club date work, but we were also doing some private events. So probably about 5 years is when I took an active role, and then 4 years ago is actually having my own organization.
Wow. So this is your band. You're the band leader, and you started. How did you come up with the name Standard Issue?
I was creative, and I was lucky. Abesel Podty of the Portland Press does a column, Face the Music, and I called her and said, look, because she'd known me a little bit, I want to put a new band together, but I can't come up with a name. Could you do a contest? So she ran an article doing a contest of name that band.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, can I enter? Because I have a great name. I was like, that's fine, but don't tell me till the end of the contest. Yeah. And she actually came up with the name Standard Issue.
Wow. Do you have to show royalties, or do you own it?
I got her a DVD of A Great Day in Harlem, which I presented to her at Ginkgo Blue, which
cool.
was a...
It was a great jazz club in Portland. It's no longer there, unfortunately, but it was a wonderful location, very mellow, very hip, I think, and it weeded out just the dance club scene. Not that there's anything wrong with the dance club scene, but if you just wanted mellow and light music playing in the background and enjoy a really good gin and tonic, that was the place to be.
Yeah, that was an awesome club. And on our, we recorded a live CD. At Ginkgo
And it was there, right?
Yeah.
And is this a CD that...
some of the tracks on our current CD, The Very Thought of You.
Hold that up so you can see there's a CD, so you can actually get that on one of your sites, I think. And you could tell them that if you want right now, where you can find music.
You can pick it up at the actual physical CD, if you're old school, at Bull Moose, and then online at standardissue.bandcamp.com. So.
And I know that you just did a wedding show Saturday. It was Basmoon, and you were at the Portland Company in Portland. Tell us a little bit how that all worked out and how you enjoyed that and how you get involved with wedding shows. I mean, do you do a lot of them?
I do a few. It's a little awkward because I'm playing music.
And people want to talk to you.
You know, and...
Could you stop? Exactly.
You know, but I enjoy it because people really get a feel for what we have live. I mean, the CD we have, it sounds really nice, but to really get a flavor of what we do, it's hearing us live. Because I've been fortunate with the bandmates, Emmett Harity on piano and Nick Merriam on acoustic bass, that we're able to play different tempos and different dynamics. And it just is... like when you have really nice flowers and nice food, it's just that aroma. And it's not some steady pulse that's constantly going, especially, you know, the dinner cocktail hour when everybody is just digesting after the ceremony and things like that. It's just nice to have that break.
And how many in the band?
There's 3 of us.
3?
Yep.
So including yourself?
Yes. Occasionally we'll have a quartet with a great trumpet player and singer, Emma Stanley, but for the most part it's Emmett and Nick, piano, upright bass, and drums.
Nice. And do you normally play, since we were talking about this a little earlier, do you normally play the cocktail hour and then into dinner music, or do you fade out after the first hour?
It really depends.
Okay.
I
found... the client wants?
Yeah. And really for... those looking at a budget,
that's our word.
You know, if people are open,
and there's nothing wrong with that, so I just want to point that out. But remember that this is a job for most people. So
true, and plus it just adds to the efficiency of the flow.
Exactly.
So you know, really, if the ceremony and the cocktail and dinner are all in the same location, which we've experienced because we've done a lot of island weddings. For us to do the ceremony, music.
Or logistics in an island wedding. So you have to get the boat, you know, the boat ticket back and from, and you know, it's a longer period. You have to start out earlier, leave early. It's not just...
Oh, no, it's quite an experience. Oh, yes. That's why I'm glad that as a trio, we don't have a lot of equipment, so it's pretty easy for us to get in and out. But so if we do the ceremony, and then we can easily transition right into cocktail hour and dinner hour. Some brides have had us for the reception. It all depends on if...
what the mood and what they're doing.
Yeah, especially, you know, do people know how to ballroom dance? And if they don't... And so, just to talk about budget real quick, too, is the way we work is we do understand people are going to hire a DJ or a terrific band like the Bob Schreiber Band for the reception, so people can cut loose, you know.
Got it. And do you have more, like, would you say 90% of your work weddings, or do you do 50-50 with corporate and weddings? I mean, how's that run for you?
It's almost close to 50-50. It's probably 55.
Because I would say this is a great thing for corporate, especially if you're having a holiday party. This is a nice background music for a 2 to 3 hour cocktail party that somebody's throwing in their office. To have that off to the side playing is a lovely piece to a corporate party, I think. So I'm hoping somebody's hearing that out there. The average time that a client has with you from consultation to end, what do you normally put into one client? Do you know that off the top of your head?
It's at least a few hours, and it's over the time period.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, December, I got asked to do a reception in June. And so we talked for probably a good half hour on the phone. I always make sure people go to our website to hear our music, which is www.standardissue.me, so they know what they're getting. Because we don't do Mustang Sally, you know, really.
No Shaka Khan.
No. We do. We have all this lovely music from the Great American Songbook.
Wow. And how many are in there?
Oh gosh, there's probably about 300 songs.
Wow.
And I do ask if there are particular songs that couples want. If they have a song that's theirs, we can jazz it up a little bit, but I like to know that ahead of time,
because so you can practice and
we can sort
of like well, like you said, the Schreiber Band, they do the same thing. I think they do 3 songs and they practice. Like you can pick 3 songs out of their routine and they learn it, and then it becomes part of their standard package. How long have you been in the band with these guys? And if you want to say their name again, so that they get a little
sure. Emmett Harity and Nick Merriam. We, come April, we'll have been together 3 years.
Wow.
So, and we've done well over 200 performances together. And that was really my goal with this. There's really nothing like a working jazz group. Because it is instantaneous art being created in the moment, and that energy is transcendent. And
you become friends, I'm going to assume. So that I mean, were you friends before and then came together, or has this bonded you more?
It's still interesting because I am the band leader. So
you're the boss.
I am the boss. So we have a really good relationship.
Yeah.
But musically, we're just really in sync.
Nice.
And we can get to some very lush areas with the music. For instance, we played Night and Day a ton of times, but you would never think that we've played it over 100 times because we reinterpret it each time.
That's excellent. That's good to know.
Yeah, so we're not in a rut.
What? How long do you book out? You know, like I know how I do it. I do January, February, March, April. I'm working on 2016. Do you do the same thing, or is it different in this realm of the wedding part of the business?
Well, I'm still relatively new, 4 years into it. So I have booked out as far as a year and a half.
Nice.
Most of mine are within 6 months, and it's amazing. I do get last-minute calls during the summer season. So
that's great.
It all depends. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with my calendar completely being booked up. So
do you hear that, everybody? Call. And how many albums do you have? Like, how many of these do you? Is this considered an LP, or what do they call these? Or not an LP, because obviously that's vinyl.
Yeah.
But
it's a full-length CD.
Full-length CD?
Yeah. And what's nice, if you do purchase it at Bull Moose, and if there are local bands or any bands that you really care about, it's still really great if you go into a store like Bull Moose to purchase it, because all those sales go to Billboard. Even the local music, they do that for us.
Wow.
I mean, Bull Moose has really been a great supporter of the local music scene.
I'm a very familiar person with Bull Moose because I see a lot of receipts from it, because Ruben shops there 24/7. So he's all into vinyl.
Yes, yes.
Which is interesting because I grew up with vinyls and 45s. If you can,
Oh,
he did not. So it's a different.
Wow, that's
realm.
interesting.
So, I mean, he had vinyl, but it's
Yeah.
just a different way. I'm getting off tangent there.
It's okay.
Do you send out samples? Obviously, you send
Yeah.
out these, and if you were at the
Yeah.
wedding show, did you hand these out? How many were hustled out? Is that?
There were gift bags at Baswoon, and so there were 150
Wow.
that went
Excellent.
out.
So everybody has that, and
yeah.
so it's more, the more people hear, and if somebody, particularly if somebody doesn't get married in this state, she might hand it off to somebody else, and so the potential is there for somebody else to hear your music, which is always a good thing. So.
Oh, yes, yeah, and I'm very proud of this recording. We're very lucky that part of it is live, and also Jonathan Wyman recorded 10 of the tracks in his studio.
Oh, wow.
So it's got a nice lush sound, and I just want to point out my green-friendly origami packaging.
Nice.
I just hate all the plastic with CDs,
Yeah.
even though I love vinyl, which is probably even worse for the environment. But so these are all lovingly hand-folded by yours truly and
Nice.
packaged. So
Tell us a little bit about this little setup here you have here.
okay, well, the reason I wanted to bring this is called a snare drum.
Uh-huh.
And this drum in particular is probably over 50 years old. It's a Kent drum that was made in upstate New York. And it was known as the poor man's Gretsch kit. Gretsch is what all the famous jazz drummers used. And so it has a nice warm sound to it. It's very light. I had these custom wood hoops put on too, so it just has a warm sound. And so I tell people, oh, I play brushes. Well, what the heck does that mean? In the 20s, when bands would go in, 1920s, when bands would go into a studio, it was actually direct to a stylus. And if drummers used sticks, it would jump the stylus. Huh. So they developed brushes to make a quieter sound. And so it's just a much more soft sound. And so it's a way for me to propel the band. Mm-hmm. It fills up the whole space, but it's not overbearing. And that's what I like about our group. The Black Point Inn, I'm pretty sure I'm the only drummer they've allowed to play in their space because I can play so quiet. Nice. Because really the whole concept with our group is there's a lot to listen to, but if you want to have a conversation, you can do that as well. And we're really...
More background, but not where you can't even speak.
Yes.
So.
And it's interesting how the level of conversation rises because it's art that's in the background versus something that's three-chord. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just adds a little style and sophistication.
Now, where can people find, I know that with Ginkgo Blue closing, where are you playing anywhere else, or is it just, now are you looking for a new venue to play at?
Well, we've been fortunate that we have a nice relationship with the Portland Marriott at Sable Oaks, and so we're playing there for Easter Sunday and Mother's Day, and I believe we're going to be back there every other Friday come this summer, but that hasn't been solidified yet.
Excellent.
We're also going to be at Chebeague Island. The best thing I can tell you is look at our calendar on our website.
Okay, and that'll all be on at the end of the show. You'll have all that information, website, Facebook, all that stuff for you. Do you work, and this is also a great way that I always, working with other vendors to do cross-marketing. Like I know you're on our Facebook, our web pages and things like that. Do you do that with many other event planners, caterers, things of that nature? Because it's a good way to get more out there.
I do, though I found that I'm usually the last guy it's called. But I've been really fortunate. I know I mentioned them before, but Bob and Cindy Charest have just been wonderful to us. Because when I did start this business, I did reach out to them and to Doni Boffa, who's also said wonderful things about us, because I wanted to just get a lay of the land. And I do understand it's a big difference when musicians are making a living playing music. And the music that those folks deliver is It's different than
Yeah,
somebody
what
that's just
you're-
picking up on the weekend.
Exactly.
And I've been fortunate, the guys that I work with, they've all at
And
least...
it's a good referral network,
yeah.
too. If they can't do something, then they have you. And if they need to add a jazz piece, then I'm going to assume that they could bring you into that fold. So,
Exactly,
like
yes. Yep. And so I certainly reciprocate as much as I can. I work with a lot of wonderful wedding vendors, so when people do ask me questions,
We do
I do
cross-marketing.
direct, yes, I do definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, any other shout out? Do you want to do any little more of this on here? Or because I appreciate you coming in and taking the time to talk to us. As always, you know, check them out, standard issue. DVDs right here. All their information is at the end of the show. As always, thanks for tuning in to the Maine Wedding Buzz, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you very much.